Hey, what's going on there with YouTube? It's going to be Donald coming to you from Masawa, Japan again. It's going to be episode number 49, solo. Today, no guests. We got some guests coming up. Some of the guests I'll announce. We got Luke Fink coming on pretty soon. We got my guy, Coach Dante Jones, coming on from Baltimore, coming up really soon. We got a few more guys coming up working on the daily deal and everything. So again, for the first 100 episodes, I just want to kind of get, I don't want to say like I'm ranking people and who's more important, but there's some guys I've had great conversations with, guys who I've dealt a lot of business with, and people who have generally been more influential in my life and getting me to the point where I am right now and everything. So I don't want to open it up, to everybody because it's just something I want to target. If I want to talk to somebody as a guest, it's because I want to learn something about them and things like that. So again, everybody unfortunately won't be a guest on a podcast. But I'll open it up pretty soon. I'll have like a place where you can apply if you want to be a guest on a podcast, and kind of see what you're bringing and everything like that. And the biggest thing is networking, being positive and pushing things forward. So I'll put that stuff out there shortly. But right now I got a bunch of guests that I got to work through and then get all that stuff and get everything done here. So again. Not again, but this podcast is just solo, a little bit of ranting, and I got some questions here, which is going to be, I finally got some questions, which I'll hold it up. You can see the black writing on there, so it's not, I think you can see it's probably, can't really see it there. But anyway, I got a few questions from two guys, Alan Newsom and Bridge Modal, and I got Gerard Vickers, who just recently is going to be another guest on here. He got picked up at, he's going to be working at Black Rifle Coffee. I think it's Black Rifle or something like that. So I'm drawing a blank right now, but he's working for Black Rifle. You guys don't know what Black Rifle is. It's a military run organization. They do cool stuff. Some prior special service guys and everything. So look forward to talking to Jared about that and seeing how that's going to go. So very Jared, again, one of your questions out there, man. Congratulations. And yeah, man, it's a big thing, big networking, and definitely is going to you're going to meet some cool people. I already know, man. You already know it too. But I'll follow those guys and they do some cool stuff. So anyway, I'm going to get into these questions. And from the questions, it'll lead into other things. So just starting right off, this is going to be a quick podcast, not going to be long and everything. So this is again from Alan Newsom in Talking Rock, Georgia. So he got... So he says, Alan asks, the first question asks is ASK, but it's Baltimore sounds, he was saying X, but whatever, he asked. What are your top 3 personal car projects that are priority, after family and all that stuff like that, to get fully turnkey running and drop with 2020? Well, you asked this question about maybe 4 weeks ago now, Alan. I've been sitting on them because I had a lot of stuff going on. As of course, everything has been like uprooted by all this Corona crap and everything. So to kind of get into your questions, I want to get my S13, get that back running. Last 13 RB26 or whatever, I'm going to get that back running because it's been down for like the last 4 years. I did the one event at Nico, and after the event at Nico, I blew the number 6 stock piston, and I never rebuilt it because I started the company right after that, so I've been pretty much engulfed with customer stuff. So I'm going to get that running. The S2000, I got that back, so I'm going to finish that up, get that returbo, get the Haltech set somewhere there set up, and then also the cappuccino. So the cappuccino, that's, of course, you guys who haven't seen the cappuccino, I did a video. I'll be doing a little series on the cappuccino, showing like, different work and things there. So cappuccino is definitely in process. Cappuccino, I gave myself to about June, end of June to get that running, to get it to move, and then it'll develop from there. So those are my top 3 cars again. S13, my drift competition S13, my grip. Time Attack, primarily S2000 turbo, and then the cappuccino. So those are the 3 cars I want to get up and turnkey drawable for this year before this year ends out. Again, with the Corona stuff right now, man, it's everybody out there has kind of got the stimulus stuff, and also they got their timelines pushed back. So I see like Formula Drift and a few other organizations, they're pushing things back, and they're looking like it's going to be running into like almost, it's weird because some of the events are ending November, December, and then you got no time to get ready for the next year. So this year, if you guys didn't feel it, I'm feeling it already. It's already April. Due to everything that's going on right now, I just feel like this year has already been truncated. It is just a bad year out the gates, man. Stuff happening and scandals and whatever. Then the Corona stuff hits, man. It's just a bad year. And it's like everybody want to hit the reset button already. So this year, I don't know. I was looking to come back and everything, but honestly, I wasn't accounting for this happening. So personally, I'm not doing any high level pro stuff because again, I just got to make sure my business is good, and I'm taking away money from the business right now, which I need that money to grow. So that's why I'm not really looking to do anything. I mean, it beats you. They're shutting things down. Everything is canceled right now, man. So that's just the deal we're dealing with right now. So next question from Alan. Alan asked, if you were to build a 59.99 second Tsukuba car, which is, it's hard to say what's going to get there, from one of your currently owned vehicles, what would it be and why? And I just mentioned again, the Cappuccino is definitely going. I mean, I'm confident in my skills as a driver. The Cappuccino definitely, once I get everything dialed in, there's no doubt about it. That car is just off the. I mean, you need skill to get around that track. One of my buddies said, like, anything, when you get to a minute, it's the car. When you start to break under a minute, it's the car and the driver. And you got to have both of those equally to get those, low 50 second stuff like that. So I don't want to, Tsukuba, people like, I should do it. No, when you get on the track, it does that. I took the Subaru there. The Subaru did like 11, 12 or something like that, 11, 11 seconds. And for a car that cost, I built it from scratch, $1,200 roughly. And it was, Japanese kept calling it a handmade car. For that car to be what it was, I had better records. I had, it was 70-something cars there or 80-something cars there, whatever it was. There was over 60 cars. I don't know what it was, but for all those cars to be there, those cars are all street cars. You got GTRs, you got this, you got that, you got that. My car finished 48th out of 70 whatever cars. That's pretty good, man. You know what I mean? So never been a Tsukuba. Only Tsukuba I did was from the Gran Turismo and R Factor. And yeah, man, I was pretty satisfied with that considering what the car was. So I want to take a car back that's very competitive. I want to take two cars back. I'll take the S2000 back, which, is a full up car, even though it's pipe frame in the front, but still a full up S2000. Still has the, stock geometry, suspension, and all that good stuff like that. So look forward to taking that back and seeing where I get with that as the S2000 Turbo. Kind of like emulating the Muse S2000 from Gran Turismo that I love to play with. And then the Cappuccino, man, I just can imagine that Cappuccino on that back straight, man, is just going to it's going to fly. So once I get that car dialed in, that car is going to be a weapon. Everybody's saying it's a waste of time and everything, but you don't realize, look, when you put an engine on a engine stand, that engine stand weighs collectively. When you pick an engine stand up, right? Even though a Cappuccino is a small car, when you take an engine stand, most, a T-bar engine stand where it's just like the upright is like this, and you got the two cross points in the back and one in the front. That engine stand weighs about 30 pounds, 40 pounds, maybe 50 pounds, and you can hold the entire engine on that. All right, so the Cappuccino is a lightweight car, but the Cappuccino still weighs more than the engine stand. So you put that in there. Of course, the wheels are smaller. Going to have to do stuff like that, suspension tuning and everything. This is going to be a multi-stage build for this Cappuccino. It's not. I'm first stage is going to be get the engine in there, start the engine up, get it to drive. Okay, stage one is complete. Now we're not going right from engine driving to the track and trying to break record times. It's going to take a lot of sessions. Reaction, which you guys are going to see in the future episodes of the event. Reaction, working with those guys. Reaction coilovers. You guys know I'm a dealer for those guys. They're going to have make me my special custom coilovers to cope with the weight. Just like, again, if you take a 2J or 1J, put it in S13, you cannot run that 2J or 1J on the 8 kilogram. 8.6. So 8 kilogram up front, 6 in the back. You can't do that because now you're putting the engine that's a lot more heavier than a CA or a SR into that engine bay. So it's not going to work out for you that well. So it doesn't matter what car it is, Cappuccino, Chaser, Sora, whatever. Once you start changing engine weights around, that weight is based on the spring ratios is based on the amount and the suspension and the geometry and all that stuff. It's based on the weight of the engine and being FR, being MR, being FF, being midship, all that stuff like that is going to play a difference in suspension tuning. So that's where that car build is showing. People ask me why I'm doing a Cappuccino build. That Cappuccino build is showing multiple facets of what I'm capable of. Right now, again, I can be one of those guys where I do this, I do that, I do that. My thing and the way I've been brought up and everything is just to show. Once you show and put it down on there and they see it, they got no way, they got no reason or any other. There's no reason to doubt. And when you talk about what you can do, when you talk about what you can do this, when you can talk about that, blah, 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 talk is cheap, man. Putting shit down on the road, results speak and all that good stuff. So when people see it out there, they'll see it. And then I got to, I'm not even going to go be petty and tag people who were calling me stupid for doing this build. Like, the thing about it, it's not your fucking money. Why do you care about what I'm doing with that? It's my money. I will build what I want. I have the skill sets. I got a full shop. I got all the resources to get everything done. So it's just sit back, relax, and you'll see your buddy or somebody that you follow be the one of this car is definitely it's out there. It's out there and everything. So if somebody comes and build it before I get done in 2 months, good for you. Like, I mean, you took my idea and did it or whatever. Maybe you got a little bit more money and time than I got. Great, cool, whatever you build or whatever. But still, I'm doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I can. And then I'm doing it because, hey, man, life is short and you want to do cool shit. I'm probably not going to go to space in my lifetime. I'm probably not going to fly on a rocket ship. But, hey, I got this little fucking car on the ground that goes really, really fast. And it's going to be cool, man. I can imagine, once everything gets dialed in, the media and the media attention from this, what it's going to do for the shop and everything. And that's the thing, man. Again, I'm a very approachable guy as far as I've accomplished a lot, but I don't act like a dick, and I don't act like as far as like I'm better than people. I've done a lot of stuff, man, but I can talk to people as normal. There's a lot of guys out there, man, they do cool stuff. They get a cool car, they get a car on Super Street, they do this, they do that. They get one little thing, man, and they change their mindset. And I know a lot of people like that who I know who are currently on my friends list. Friends list on Facebook is arbitrary because we're buddies on which company. We're not really buddies, and they send me a message and I could tell, man, I ain't gotta drop names because if you watch, you know who you are. You get a little bit of notoriety. You hang with this group, you do this group, you got this many views on YouTube, this, and this. And then you get into that zone where you feel like everybody's going to kiss your ass, man. And then coming to me, I'm the fucking last guy that's going to do that, man. So a lot of guys out there, you get a little bit of notoriety and everything and you change. Me, it's like, okay, what's next? I got in Dory 10 multiple times. Okay, what's next? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's just a constant thing of constantly doing things and constantly wanting to be better. And that's where I'm at with my life and what I want to do and what I want to accomplish and everything. So I'll be that guy. So again, I'm ranting, so I'm using the questions to kind of talk about what I want to talk about. But yeah, that cappuccino is definitely, man. Once I get everything dialed in, man, I'm confident that car is going to be like, again, I don't like to say because the track doesn't lie. It's going to take multiple tuning sessions, but I think with tuning. And once I get that car dialed in, man, I would I would think 55 seconds is definitely doable. I got the skills to take the car on the track. You proved that with the Subaru that was a NA EJ15, and so I got my hands on it and turned it into a car that was lapping other full Subarus and lapping that, and that comes down with skill sets. Again, it's just how much seat time you got. That's the only thing that separates you from one driver to the next. And I have a lot of seat time because I'm in Japan. I don't have to wait for events. I can go to the track. I can press stop on this record and go to MSP right now. I don't have to. I can go to MSP right now and get on the track. I could be on the track. I could be right from the seat right here to in my cockpit drifting around or doing grip at MSP within an hour and a half. I could do that right now. So it's kind of cool to have that there. And again, guys, are there, one thing I'll tell you with the builds. Again, I'm doing this because once you build this, you build so many things, so many cars. It's like cool. You can do it. So like doing a regular swap it's not enticing. It's not. I want to say it's just not fun. I can do a 1GS13, but I've done it before. I can do this, but it's a basic swap. I don't get any gratification out of doing it. Okay, you got a 2J and a GTR or whatever. So it's definitely cool. It definitely is going to get some looks out there. It's definitely going to put my shop at a different level. And when a guy comes to my shop, and I had it happen before recently, a guy's like, hey, man, he's like, do you do this? I'm like, dude, did you look around my shop and see what, I didn't think I had to say that, but you can't see this engine there with a big turbo. Say, can you turn this to my car to a turbo? I'm like, yeah, I can do that, but it's going to cost a lot more money than it's worth. It's just not worth it. Just go ahead and swap the turbo engine in there because converting any engine, unless you got the spare parts, converting any engine into turbo for most part, it's just not worth it. And in rare cases like the NAT 2JZ, that one is kind of cool. But if you have a turbo variant already of the engine and you don't have the skill sets and you don't want to pay, it's actually easier to swap the engine in that's turbo already, be done with it, turbo engine, and you can go from there versus converting everything over, injectors, this, that, and the other to get to that build and everything. So I'm moving to the next question right here. And he said, what are the 3 drift and grip tracks you haven't done that you would like to do in Japan? So definitely number 1 is going to be Mihan down in Osaka for drifting. Bihoku, and what else? Probably Tsukuba. Even though I did Tsukuba I did it for grip. I didn't do it for drift. So those are 3 I want to get to for drifting. For grip, Suzuka, Fuji, and Central Circuit. So and the thing is, I can get to them. It's just, with the business, I just got to stay disciplined. And once I get everything dialed in, I can take time away from the shop and it's again, man, it's very, I can do whatever I want every day. But the thing about it, man, I got customers waiting on me, and the thing is, I got, they entrusted me with their cars, and I'm going to do what I got to do. I got a lot of stuff going on. Again, guys out there, I'm somewhat too approachable, which I'm starting to dial back. Some of you guys out there are starting to see it. I don't answer your messages that much anymore, because some guys out there, again, is hard when you knew a person before things got, to put it in perspective for you guys to understand a little bit more, whatever celebrity out there, I'm not going to drop any names or whatever, but whatever celebrity out there that you see on a movie screen or whatever, at one time he was just that guy from around a block. So now he's another guy. So what happens when you get used to you hanging around that person when they were like kind of like, less than or not, I don't say less than, but they weren't as popular. You remember that person, so you feel like, yeah, I can still do this, but hey, man, like things change. I'm running a business now. Like your request is not really that important when you just drop in my mailbox at 12 at night, because you're not, number one, Facebook, I told you guys out there before, it don't matter who you are, download at PinkuStar.com. It doesn't matter who you are. Some guys out there, I send it to them and they don't message. They feel like, he's too good for us now. And this, that, no, it's not that I'm too good for you, man. It's just that it's protocol. To stay on task, do all the stuff I got to do. Again, I run a single shop by choice. It would be nice to have a helper in here and stuff like that. I got an assistant, but he's military, Quan. I run this whole thing by myself because I honestly, with being in a military town, being Japanese, I haven't found anybody who's matching my energy. I haven't found, until I find somebody who's matching my energy 100%. They're 100% driven. They're 100% doing everything I need to do. I cannot, because it's not going to last for about 2 weeks, and then your ass going to be out of here. I cannot have some lazy fucking person around me making me angry, bringing me down. I'll rather take an extra hour to do something myself versus have somebody there that's going to bring me down. Now, guys, you guys know Quan. Not talking bad about him, but again, he's a military member. He has a family, stuff like that, different things going on. So I'm not, I don't pay him because I'm not paying any employees, because that's taxes. I'm not going to not pay somebody and not get compensated for it. So he has I give him deals and things, and he has access to the shop and things like that. But again, it's still, he's my shop assistant. There's a difference between having an employee. You pay. You have a agreement there. They got to pass the screening and things like that. So all the guys that message me and do different things regarding like, hey man, I want to work there, I want to come over there, you probably really don't, because once you meet me in person, you see how driven. I mean, again, the social media stuff, it's not that stuff is a fraction of what I do. I don't do vlogs. So I mean, I do so many things every day that you guys never know about. I mean, going from this place, going from that place. I could be in Tokyo this day. I could be in this place the next day. All over Japan, making it happen and doing things. I don't feel like I have a need to have a camera on me to show you, because I'm not. You just see the results. You see me moving from one shop to one shop. You see me getting these cars and doing that and doing that and doing that. You see cars pop up in the background because I'm working. I don't have a need to show you everything. When it comes out and is rolled out, then you'll see it. But that's just not my thing, man. There's vloggers. I got the podcast, and I do my videos. Not really vlogging style. I don't like that. Nothing against it. Some guys are making a lot of money out there, the Adam LZs and whoever else. But that's not my thing, man. So sorry, I'm not gonna carry a camera around. You're not gonna see everything. But I do a lot of things per day that guys are not aware of. The social media, everything, the social media, the YouTube, everything is run by me. I don't have any staff. So again, when you post stuff, most times, most companies have a buffer between the owner of the company and whoever's running the social media that generally they dull things down. When I respond to you, it's me responding to you. So if you say something stupid, I'm gonna check you, just like I would if you right face to face, look at me in my eyes. I'm gonna check. I don't allow bullshit to pass by me, because if you allow it once, it's gonna continue. So I want to get people out of my life. If they ain't about positive, being correct, being a logical person, I'm gonna get your ass up out of here, man. I don't want to deal with you, man. So again, I say again, I'm not perfect, but I take into account people's feelings of what's going on and things like that. And then once you start being inconsiderate with me, I got to get you out of here, man. I don't want to deal with it, because again, it's going to irritate me, get me riled up and everything. And I just don't want to deal with that. Before that, I just got to get you out of my life. Life is already hard enough, especially with all this COVID bullshit going on right now. I just don't need any drama. And people who try to bring drama with me, bring drama my way, they're gonna get checked. They'll conform, or they'll get moving. And again, that's just in my zone. I have nothing to do with your life. I have nothing to do with somebody else's life out there. But again, in my zone, you got to come correct. I'm gonna respect you until you don't respect me, and then we're gonna have issues and everything. So again, I got from, I don't know what the hell I was talking about last, but again, got use the questions to kind of to segue into other things. But it is what it is. Whatever I said before that, I don't even remember, because I've been up for a little bit. I'm kind of tired. Yeah, that's I answered answered all the Alan's questions, and we're about 21 minutes in. So again, I'm gonna answer this question. I'm gonna get out this again. This is a very quick one, because I got a lot of stuff going on. And every podcast, the format, hour time, it just depends on how much time I have. I want to do at least a solid 30 minutes or whatever, and to get the good analytics. But all the podcasts that I do are not going to be 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, and 3 hours, stuff like that. It just depends. But this is going to be a quick one. So again, my guy Black Rifle Coffee, Gerard Vickers, newest employee there, going to be handling their social media stuff, and I believe a lot of their content things. So Gerard is also the one, for you guys who follow. Gerard did he shot the video for the CRV, and the CRV is weird, man. The CRV to date is the most. It didn't pop off right away as we thought it would. It took about a year, and then all of a sudden the numbers just went up. So it's at a measly 25K views right now. But my analytics, that video's just been showing the most trending video on my analytics for my videos for the last almost year and a half now. So it's pretty cool. And again, out there, shout out to Gerard. So Gerard asks, what's the best way to maximize low power for drifting, tire pressure, gearing, weight savings? What would you do what would you do first, and why? Number one, the number one, if you got low power drifting, again, of course, number one thing you want to do is get rid of whatever you don't need. So if it's a low power track car, you just gut it. Just get everything. You carpet, anything, glass, you can do anything to take it out that you don't need. If you got motors in the back, if you got a 4-door or a 2-door or whatever, you can do things that convert to manual. If you need to roll the windows up and down, which generally you don't, in a track, the window's got to be closed. So you can do things like just take the glass out, convert to a Lexan, convert to a manual type if your car has that, because all cars don't have it. If your car has a manual type, convert to a manual roll-up window, or just make some kind of apparatus. You can get rid of all the glass, recommending that you keep the front glass because it's protection. The back glass, side glass, things like that. Any carpet, seats, tools, anything, just get it out of there. So when you're on the track anyway, Gerard, you don't have any. I mean, you hear it on guys' cars when they're drifting, and you hear clink, clink, pop, pop, and shit like that is because they got bolts and shit in there. Outside of getting rid of that annoying noise, if you flip your car, if you get into a violent spin or a violent crash, anything that's not bolted down becomes a projectile. It can stick in your eye. It can pierce your body or whatever. So there should be no bolts, anything inside your car. So get all that stuff out of there. So weight savings is the number one easiest thing, because it's the free thing you could do. But if it's a street car course, you don't want to gut your car and all that stuff. You want to have a functional street car. So one thing you can do for a car that, depending on the wheel size, depending on the wheel base, is all different. Of course, you go to Hachiroku guys, infamous for low power, and also depending on drivetrain. If your drivetrain is a weak drivetrain, you don't want to go out there and get a 305, 45, whatever tire, because this shit'll break your axle. It'll grip up, it'll snap your axle, it'll snap your drive shaft or whatever. So you gotta take into account that. So if you have a lower horsepower car, normally you want to have a zero camber in the back. You want to have zero camber in the back ideally if you got good suspension to kind of maximize your tread. One thing I did on the Subaru, because I have for example, the Subaru truck, I have R160. Even though it's turbo, because I'm going rear, I converted it to rear wheel drive, which the front diff is not taking the brunt of that action anymore. So it's all going through the center diff, which I welded up, and it's going back to the puny R160 diff out to those puny axles. What I did on that is I added a little bit more camber. I stretched the wheels because the particular wheels I'm running, I'm adding a lot of PSI. So I'm drifting. I got a turbo Subaru, then I'm drifting like Hachiroku. So I'm mixing different chassis ideologies to get the effect, because the thing is, I don't have time in a spare cash right now to upgrade it to an R180 STI rear end, so I'm doing an R160. So what I did is I actually implemented, again, Hachiroku style, which is air them up 60 PSI. The air is going to make the tires more harder, and the more harder tires not going to be as soft on the ground, which will allow the coefficient of friction will be lessened. So you would get more spin. You get more wheel spin. You don't get as much grip, but you spin the wheels. And when you're drifting, you want to spin the wheels. So it allows you to spin the wheels more quicker. And that will get you around the track. Also, what it does, it saves on tires a little bit, depending on the camber, depending on the settings, the toe settings, and all that stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool thing to do with that. If you got NA, you want to go ahead and definitely pump it up. I know you're running the IS300 here in the States. And if you got the, I believe you got the Corolla or something like that in the States there now. So definitely air the tires up. Smaller tires to get stuff like that to get you drifting like that, and then for the gearing, the final ratio, which is something that most people don't. I didn't get into it till very late. The gearing is tricky because you don't want to gear if you got a track that's only running, again, MSP, like you were here, Gerard. MSP. When they first, most people want to talk about gearing, then now you got guys who I want a 4.1, or I want a 3.9, or I want a 4.3. It's all going to depend on the transmission, the diff, different things like that, the engine you got in there, stuff like that. So the gearing, if you got a track that you're only going to one time, you can gear your car to that track. But what's going to happen if you go to another track, you go to whatever, the gearing at this track is not going to work at that track. So you got to be careful with that. Unless you got the diffs. One thing, if you got a car that has a removable diff, I'm not sure how your setup is there, but you can have a 4.3, a 4.1, a 3.9, or whatever you want to have, 4.5, 4.4, and the gears, you can swap them out if you don't got a quick swap. So you can just drop the diff, put a new diff in there, and it's geared for that track. So the gearing guys out there who don't know, basically to make it, I don't want to make it too hard for some people to understand, but you can look it up on Google. The bigger the number, pretty much going to be the taller the gear. The shorter number is being the ratio is going to be smaller. So again, if you got a smaller ratio, it means you're going to go through the gears quicker, but also that ratio is dependent upon your final drive and your extra transmission as well. So the gearing for the diff, the gearing for the transmission, all has to coexist. So if you have a 4 whatever in the diff, and then your final drive on the actual transmission is like a 5.2 or whatever, it's going to change things. So there's a little bit of math involved. You go on Google and do this, because I don't want to mess this up and confuse anybody. Go on Google, look up gearing and everything. But gearing is a big thing that most people don't get into. They're very advanced. But getting a 4.1 is going to 4.1 final drive to a 3.9 and S13 versus a 4.4 that'll get you in third gear faster, to get you in third gear longer. It'll do different things for you. Again, I probably butchered it a little bit because it's off the top of my knowledge. But again, and I didn't study it. Gearing is very crucial to your track. So you got to see where the track's going to be. Talk to the guys who've been drifting that track a bunch. See what they're running for the gearing, if they're advanced and everything. Because again, it's something that doesn't really matter when you're first starting, because when you're first starting, you got to get those basics down. You got to get those skill sets down. You got to get all that stuff down and make sure you're good to go. Once you get all that stuff get down, you got all the basics down, then you can look at stuff like your knuckles, your suspension geometry, your gearing. Because I found a lot of guys out there when they're brand new, and even some guys that are like 5 years into the game, they start worrying about things like angle and different things like this and blah blah blah. And like, dude, you haven't even mastered it. You haven't even pushed that car in stock form to its max if you're going to keep that car. And that's one of the things that separates. I am a pro drifter, and the one thing I can do is I can hop in any car and go. And you drive around the track, you do a grip session around it, you feel the gears, you see everything, you rev it up, you see where it goes and stuff like that. And then you go from there. You don't just get in the car, hop out, drift. You don't do that. You fill it out, you test the brakes, you see what the threshold for the braking is, you see where the clutch disengage. You see when you turn a wheel, how fast or quickly does the front end stir, because they ain't all the same. You can have a car that you turn it and they kind of delay because you got bushings that when you turn, it doesn't go like this. So when you got some cars, that's like you got the what is it, the SPL, whatever kind of stiff bushings you put in S13. If you put that in there, now when you turn a wheel and all your bushings are good, it turns the same. But if you got an old car, what happens is the steering shaft coming out of the chassis. You got the steering shaft coming up from the drive shaft, and in between there is a piece of rubber. So where that connects, what happens when you turn your wheel, that is a delay, then that part turns, and it's the same thing when you turn it back and forth. They're not on the same page. They're kind of going like this around each other. So every time you do that, there's like slush and smush. So when you put it together and you put that lock part in there, then when you turn the wheel, now it's going like this. It's locked together. It's turning at the same time. So that's one of the coolest mods you can do to a steering shaft, is just put that bushing in there if it's not already solid. Most of the older cars have a solid ones, and it would lead to a very vibrating steering wheel. So what they did for the new manufacturers, they put a piece of rubber in there to soak up the vibration. Your engine sits on your subframe. Your subframe attaches your steering rack. The steering rack goes up. So if you got the solid one, everything is going to reverberate all the way through your steering. You can feel it. And most guys do feel that when they go back to stiff mounts. So we got the rubber in there. The rubber soaks up some of that feeling, but it creates a dead space. It creates a feeling that's not good. And then when you get into a high end car like F1 or whatever, most people are not gonna drive F1 car, but cars that are F1 inspired, S2000s, the McLarens, all those stuff, like all the high end cars, when you get into them, you notice when you stir the ones, even though some of the new ones that got electronic steering, when you turn the car, it turns. And then most guys, they're like, oh man, this car turns, and there's no delay. It goes wherever. I mean, any little input you have, it goes, man. So steering outside of all that stuff I just mentioned, one thing I'm gonna say, man, is your bushings. There's a lot of power that's being lost to a sloppy chassis. So I guess yeah. I mean, that actually would be my first. I guess that's actually, you asked the question here, Jared. But the first thing I would do would be to personally make the chassis solid, but not stiff to the point where there's no flex. Because Tsunaga-san got my S13. He's like, I did a good job building the car, but it's like that S13, which is also my 180, it was too stiff to the point where it was perfect for grip, but not so much for drifting. Because when you're drifting, you want to get that you got that manji. If the car is so stiff, the transitions and everything is going to be it's like almost too much. It's too sensitive. And the car does, so when you're doing your transition, there's no flex. It's just bam, bam. So everything is going, you can learn it. You can learn to drive it, but taking like, for example, Suzuki, what's that, Suzuki Unders S15, that car is not going to be a good drift car. Even though that car is a badass grip car, you can have a car built in the middle. It's going to do both of them well, but it's not going to do both of them extraordinarily good. So you wouldn't be able to take my D1 car or whatever D1 spec car and then do it and have a good 52, 48 second car in Tsukuba, no matter how much power it has, because that car is not dialed for grip. So I like to kind of build my cars in the middle because I do both. I want to use the cars on both, and that's what I want to do. If I want to go full one way with the car, I can make it go that way with tires, suspension settings, things like that. So for your chassis setup, you want it to be stiff. You want all those bushings, old ball joints, all that stuff has to go, man. You got to get, that car is 20 years old, whatever years old. You got to get the polyurethane in there. You don't want to do solid stuff unless you're a dedicated track car, because you do solid stuff, stuff's going to crack. Within 2 years, your subframe will crack, because the subframes are not really strong unless you do a pipe frame type of deal, or aftermarket stuff like that. So all your bushings, your control, all your arm bushings, all of them, your power steering rack bushings, all your rear subframe bushings, all that stuff like that, you want it to be pretty good. I never seen a front subframe mounted, to like rubber. They pretty much always mount it to the chassis to be as stiff as possible. The rear subframe with the diff and everything generally do have like bushings and stuff in there. So you want to get those out of there, get the poly in there, or just do inserts. You just want to get those bushings up, because again, if you got 100 and whatever 10 horsepower or 200 and something horsepower, or whatever, if you got, and I see it all the time, man, guys take a 2J, 1J, whatever, now they all of a sudden have 380 horsepower, but the car is still built like there's a damn single overcam KE in it. That engine was 123 wheel horsepower, something like that. So you're not gonna get the same, you're not gonna get the ideal results. And I just see a lot of guys wasting a lot of money and they got sloppy chassis. They got bad suspension. It's just not good. So you want to make sure the chassis can handle the power. And again, this is a great question to end on, because kind of going back to the first question, which we want to get turnkey start for Alan, the Cappuccino. That's a great base I got. The car has low mileage. I'm going to redo all the bushings, everything, because that car is going to be stiff, because it has to be stiff to hold that engine in there, but it's going to still be it's not going to be overkill. I learned my lessons building cars, and you think when you're a beginner builder, stiff is what everybody thinks is good. You got to have a little bit of flex. You got to have, just like in life, man, you got to have a little, with all the corona shit going on right now, you got to have a little bit, even though, and I can take some of my own advice for spitting out, and I've done it. You got to, in life, kind of just relating things, little life lessons in there while we got it, talking really fast from the dome. It's all, no notes here. But when in life, man, you could be regimented like I am. You can be, I can flex, but I like to keep my schedule and everything, because some people just wake up and like, oh, what am I do today? Anyway, you got to have flex in life too, because shit is not going to go your way all the time. Your kid's going to get hurt. This is going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Your girlfriend's going to leave. Your stuff's going to happen. So you got to be able to flex. Now, flex doesn't mean you can't be steadfast in what you got to do. And the same thing when you're building a car, you can build it very, very stout, but you got to leave a little bit of flex in there, because shit is going to move around. So if your shit is rock solid, you won't have no weight transfer. And when you're doing stuff like even though grip racing, you're straight lining for the most part when I'm on a track, you still gotta account for if the tire dips off the track and you're stiff, what's gonna happen? Say one tire goes off, front tire. What's gonna happen? The back of the car is gonna teeter like that, and then you got 3 wheels off. All of a sudden you spin off. You see a lot of times when guys do autocross, their stuff is so stiff sometimes to where they break. They do a tripod. You got 3 wheels. You don't have 4 wheels on the ground, so you don't have that maximum traction. So if you build something so stiff, you got like pretty much you got your car. If it dips off this way, if it dips down, it's gonna pull up. If it dives down this way, it's gonna do this way. If it backs up, it's gonna go that way. So your car it's just very it's not really good. It's a robotic experience, and it's gonna be hard to control. There will be times where the stiffer car will work into your favor, but for the most part, when you're building cars, drift or what, you got to leave a little bit of flex, because you need weight transfer, especially drifting. You're doing that nice manji, weight transfer. If you can't do a weight transfer and you can't feel the car, or it's just so robotic that it goes like bam, bam, it snaps, and next thing you know, you done spun out. The car is just too stiff. It's too stiff. And once you do that, if you did it a certain way, once you go so stiff, it's just you can't undo it, because you don't welded this there, you don't welded this there, you don't welded this there. And then also I'll show on the Cappuccino thing, man, and I just picked it up from reading time attack books and I build cars. Some people build cars on uneven surfaces. You weld a car up on a lift. The lift is not even. Then what happens? Like you weld the car up and then you weld it uneven. So now that car is permanently messed up unless you undo all those welds. And that by that time the car has been like kind of even after you you fold a piece of paper or you fold something like a piece of plastic and you leave it there for like a week and you come back and it's just permanently like that. And no matter what you do, that plastic is just you can just leave it there for 10 years. It's just going to be folded over. It's not going to be flat. It's just going to be folded. You can try to bend it back the other way, but then you create stress. So if you keep going like this, you bend it back too many times, you're going to weaken that joint. So the same thing for a car. If you weld something some way, you got welders and fabricators out there know what I'm talking about. For the guys who don't know, when you weld a piece of metal, one of the things we try to prevent is warping or changing shape while you're welding, which will make some stuff blow out, which will require, for example, a manifold. When you weld it, you have to make sure the flex point is right, so it'll screw it up. If it's flexed wrong, you put it on, it will leak, especially for manifolds. So you got to make sure it's machined. Make sure you got a good mating surfaces so it doesn't blow out. Make sure you're using the proper heat. So when you take the weld, if you cut the welds or take the braces off, that chassis is going to get used to being bent that way, and it's just going to stay that way. So even if you undo that stuff, you just kind of screw that car up and you got to start over. So I learned my lessons with building cars. You got to stiffen what you got to stiffen. You got to fortify what you got to fortify, but you don't have to go crazy with it and everything. So chassis building, I can go everything I talk about. You can go on one subject for hours and hours and hours, but I just want to answer these questions right here. Again, we're at 39 minutes of me talking crap and everything. So again, this is a quick one. Just want to get these questions in. Guys, shoot those questions. When I answer the questions, I'm not doing how tos and everything like that, but I'll give you my opinion on things. So if you ever wanted to know things, this is your time to do that. I just, one thing I got to be careful about, and people, they get mad about it, man, with the business thing. I keep bringing the business because it's always the business is at the forefront. You can't go into anybody's shop and stuff like that. I said it before, man, and expect them to spew all information to you. You're paying a service. You're paying a fee for my knowledge, for my skills and everything. So you're not going to go into Top Secret. You're not going to go into MCR. You're not going to go into Medudi. You're not going to Ariana Mia and X amount to do things. No, that's a service. You're paying for it. Little bit of tidbits after you get done with us working on your car, you will learn. And if you learn that you don't want to come back, then you pay for that knowledge. But we're not obligated to tell you anything other than what we're doing to your car, and that's pretty much it. You don't get the how to work on shit. If you want to do that, go to YouTube, find out YouTube mechanics, do all that stuff. But when you go to the shops or you deal with people like that, we're not no shop owner is obligated to tell you how to do something. We're only going to tell you what we're going to do, the procedures we're going to use, and then we're going to be done with it. That's it. That's how we're going to work. So again, out there, guys, these questions right here. Again, when you answer these questions, I'm going to take it into it. I'm going to process it. I'm going to not beat around the bush, but I want to give you the outsides of what it is. This is not, don't confuse the questions for a how-to. I'm never going to do a how-to. I'll just answer your questions as best I can without giving, it's not an instruction session. Again, you got to get that on your own. You got to go to school for it, how you want to do it, but you got to get that on your own and everything. So again, guys, this is a quick podcast answering a few questions. Again, thanks for Alan Newsom at Bridge Moto, and thanks for Gerard Vickers at newly employee at Black Rifle Coffee, and thank you again to both of you guys for being great friends and everything, and sending those questions in. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Send your questions to podcast@pinkustyle.com, and I'll be sure to get back to you when I can. Be safe out there, protect yourself, don't be afraid, but be smart, and see you guys later. So it's gonna be down signing off for episode number 49 from Asawa, Japan, and I'll see you guys later. Pinku Style, down signing out. See you later.